It is now the formidable guardian of its own vast and rocky territory. Garchomp is born, a war god of sky and earth, with speed that surpasses the very sound barrier. Dragon power explodes, asserting the absolute status of one who rose from a very bitter past failure. Amidst the horrific firestorm, Brass Tower collapsed in the despair of both humans and all living creatures. A radiant god appeared, granting reviving light to rewrite the destiny for all of them today. Lightning energy began flowing into the veins, awakening the instincts of a true king of the skies. Raikou rose from the lightning, carrying the power of terrible and very powerful thunderstorms within body. Entei manifested from eternal flames, carrying the hot blood of the very high and active volcanoes. Suicune stepped out from the mist, the embodiment of calmness and the ability to purify all waters. Raikou is like a lightning bolt, its sound echoing like thunder striking across the wide dark sky. It controls the thunderclouds, ready to release its fury upon those who destroy the ancient green forest. The Fire King's roar causes distant mountains to wake up and begin erupting hot and dangerous magma. Wherever Suicune touches, all pollution and toxins disappear in a very miraculous way. The cold north wind blows harder, marking the presence of the guardian river god. The forest holds its breath before the overwhelming power of newly reborn gods. Entei controls flames, absorbing heat to protect small creatures trapped inside the fire. Lightning is used as a tool to isolate danger, re-establishing the natural order. Sudden rain from Suicune ends disaster, reviving the green color for the land. They never stay in one place, always wandering to find balance for the vast land of Johto. Small electric creatures always feel protected under the vast shelter of Great Raikou. Even while resting, the magma energy inside Entei is always boiling and never ever goes out completely. Magma energy inside Entei is always boiling and never ever goes out completely. Raikou soars through the night, guarding electromagnetic currents that affect all life on Earth. To release heat pressure, Entei is forced to move through the virgin land. Suicune's purification mission is eternal, cleaning every stain caused by the terrible disaster. The rare reunion of the trio signals a major and very significant event. Raikou remembers origins, where pain turned into the divine power of the present. The old fire still burns smolderingly in the soul of the great emperor Entei. Purity returns to the starting point, healing the deep wounds of noble Suicune. An invisible spiritual bond always exists between these three beings reborn together now. The Creator watches, ensuring the Guardians fulfill their sacred and important divine mission. Their unity is the strongest protective power for the entire vast and beautiful land of Johto. Their unity is the strongest protective power for the entire vast land of Johto. The north wind from Suicune will purify souls, bringing peace back to the currently polluted water. Natural order has been restored. Life begins to sprout from the grey ashes. Life always finds its way, even in the most heavily devastated places on Earth. The legend of legendary beasts will be retold forever to all future generations. At the highest levels of the atmosphere, nature's forces are silently...
How much snow did you guys end up getting? Is it still snowing there?
accumulating immense energy. Three legendary entities, representing ice, lightning, and fire, begin their journey to maintain the planet's balance. As air currents conflict, the world below must prepare for the presence of gods. Articuno, the incarnation of eternal winter, controls atmospheric humidity through crystal-like feathers. At the Seafo Islands, the
I already showed this part.
harshness of frost
Just showing the same shit over and over? I showed this for.
And falling into ruins due to extreme weather. A new cycle begins at peace, witnessing the power of the Sky Guardians. The last remaining marks, reminding the world that balance is always protected from above. All is part of the grand cycle of life. In this savannah, an ancestral feud is about to ignite between two eternal rivals. Zangoose, a creature carrying combat memories etched into its very biological cells. Acute olfactory systems immediately identify the enemy's venom. Seviper, a venomous assassin with a sleek black body and a razor-sharp blade tail. Incredible reflex speed allows the mongoose species to overpower a surprise ambush. The purple scars on Seviper's body testify to millennia of confrontation. Seviper's rapping technique neutralizes the opponent's superior ability. Seviper's blade tail is sharpened on hard rock to achieve optimal cutting precision. A massive amount of organic toxic compounds is released to finish the target. Neurotoxins begin to invade, challenging Zangoose's resilient immune system.
Yeah, fuck his ass up.
Instead of falling, venom triggers a unique chemical reaction. Attack speed skyrockets as adrenaline and toxin levels reach their peak.
I don't know why it shows that I have 2 viewers when I only have 1 person who joined.
Toxic boost activates, transforming venom into a catalyst for muscular power.
Are you reading the Trump Steam files? Does it look like I am?
The finishing move concentrates all biological pressure into a single cut. Combat
No, I heard a
instincts
couple of
proceed,
things about it,
making way
though.
for the silence of the victor. In ancient callous forests, life
Why did you learn any cool new stuff about it?
belongs only to the strongest and bravest creatures. A young punch-up tries to maintain its instinct with a very arrogant posture. These initial strikes are not yet strong enough to break nature's protective shells. It learns to coordinate energy by meticulously observing every movement of the master. Muscular strength is forged through decades of facing the harshest and toughest challenges. Behavioral mimicry is a crucial stepping stone for a true warrior to start its long formation. Within this ecosystem, small and weak creatures are always the primary targets for the lethal predators. A fierce Drapion is preparing to finish its prey with very little venom. Instinctive fear is overwhelmed by a protective will that is rising very strongly within its heart. The powerful impact makes all protective efforts seem to collapse before the very harsh and cruel reality. Physical limits are broken, giving way to a dark power that is exploding. The collapse of honor triggers an evolutionary mechanism based on very intense hatred. Nature reacts to the rise of a new energy source that is mysterious and extremely powerful. Biological structures change, turning a small child into a very formidable true warrior. Massive psychic energy is reshaping the entire skeletal framework of the creature. During this critical moment, a new icon of the forest appears, carrying the duty of protecting species. This roar signals a change in the hierarchy of power within this very complex natural ecosystem. All tricks and venoms are now useless against an iron will that can be easily broken. The invader is forced to retreat before a power far beyond its very limited and simple calculations. True strength is not for bullying, but for protecting those small, fragile lives. This leaf is no longer a decoration. It is the symbol of a very eternal oath. The predecessor's recognition is the most precious reward for a young and courageous fighting warrior. Future generations will look at this example to find their own forest path. Silence in the soul is the strongest weapon of a warrior who has been well trained. After the survival battles, nature's balance is established again in a very gentle way. It becomes the eternal guardian for the peace of the entire deep and green forest area. Its breath merges with Mother Earth's heartbeat, creating a very sacred and unbreakable spiritual connection.
I'm almost
The
out of
legend of
dabs.
the Leaf of Honor will be passed on in leaves. The story ends, but the Guardian's protective mission will continue forever in the very long
One more
future.
dab left and
Deep
some
within
reclaim.
the 1,000-year-old primordial forests, there exist creatures carrying the purest energy of happiness and compassion. Togepi is born with a translucent soul, completely foreign to the harsh laws of survival that dominate this danger-filled natural world. But the forest silence is soon shattered as apex predators begin a brutal war to assert their absolute territorial dominance. Scyther and Pinsir, two gladiators forged from killer instinct and muscular power. Accepting no compromise in this confrontation, each of their collisions carries destructive force, jarring from the parched earth up to the highest canopies of the ancient woods. Standing before senseless destruction, this tiny creature feels the pain of the ecosystem being torn apart by endless fits of rage. Sharp air currents slice through space, threatening to take the fragile life that harbors no combat instinct or hatred within. By transforming fear into compassion, Togepi activates a protective barrier woven from the purest vibrations of happiness. Non-violent resistance through kindness causes even the most violent and bloodthirsty to pause in utter astonishment. Each crack on the fragile shell is a testament to the effort to mend a broken world, traded at the cost of its own safety. When sacrifice reaches its ultimate limit, a biological miracle begins to explode, transforming pain into a light of salvation. Togetic rises from the brilliant light, shedding its primitive defensive shell to embrace the mission of an angel, a true messenger of peace. It carries the seeds of reconciliation, soothing souls being consumed by the flames of anger and predatory instincts. Under the mist of life, all ancestral hatred vanishes like early morning fog, meeting the brilliant sunshine. Four mortal enemies now stand silent under a healed canopy, where violence is no longer the only language for survival. A silent respect is established between different species, witnessing the world-reshaping power of kindness and altruism. It's
Alaska Airlines First Class, I see you. The headrest, the footrest, the sheer amount of legroom. I am comfy, I am cozy.
Fucking God, bro. Driving a motherfucker insane.
Its smile is the final affirmation that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of kindness. The forest has regained its primal pulse, a clean space full of vitality, where all life is respected. Each speck of light falling to Earth is a promise of the eternal rebirth of beauty and harmony among all species. The mission of the messenger of peace will continue, silent and persistent, sowing seeds of happiness through the infinite timeline of this planet. In the brackish waters of the mangrove, an ecosystem teeming with hidden predators begins to awaken. Froki spends much of its early life in hiding, honing its first survival reflexes. The foam around its neck is more than decoration. It is a vital moisture-retaining mechanism for an amphibian. Upon evolving into frogadier, its leg muscles advance greatly, allowing it to conquer higher levels. Agility turns it into a confident, low-tier hunter, though sometimes lacking the necessary vigilance. But at the highest level, a true tyrant of the ancient forest silently watches the unauthorized intruder. Sectile strikes with leaf blades as sharp as industrial steel. At the edge of extinction, a primal survival mechanism triggers a violent cellular metamorphosis. It is submerged under the torrent, where pressure and rocks stand ready to crush all hope of survival. In the moment of deepest despair, ultimate evolution transforms it into a perfect biological weapon. The long tongue now functions as a sensory organ and a thermal regulator for its sensitive body. The mucous epidermis neutralizes light reflection, making it a ghost in broad light. By manipulating molecules at high pressure, it creates a compressed mass of immense density. The water star rotates at supersonic speed, carrying enough kinetic energy to pierce the toughest plant structures. To face a ninja is to face the subtle illusions and deceptions of the dark. A direct wind pressure kick ends the battle for the ultimate throne of the mangrove. The victor needs no boast. Its silence is the most powerful message for the entire forest. It vanishes into its own mist, hiding its form beneath a mysterious veil of vapor and shadows. Every movement now carries the breath of discipline and absolute biological focus. The next generation swims under the silent protection of a legend just written in the night. As rain falls, Greninja becomes one with the water element, completely impossible to be detected. A solitary silhouette guarding the sleep of all creatures, the soul of the mangrove at midnight. The Guardian's gaze flickers out, leaving the ancient woods in the peace of the deep darkness. In this central arena, high martial entities prepare for a raw struggle of survival. Galad, the psychic knight with biological blades denser than cold-forged steel. Lucario, the aura master, possessing psychic clairvoyance and reinforced biological endurance. A direct psychic strike utilizing compressed brainwaves to shatter the opponent's defense. These appendages allow Lucario to detect the opponent's neural impulses from afar. visual system synchronizes with brainwaves to predict attack trajectories. Evolution unlocks genetic potential, forging the body into an ultimate living weapon. Mega Guard counters by reinforcing the biological armor plating on its forearms. Air pressure compressed by aura creates shockwaves that disintegrate solid matter. The battle concludes as both wager everything on a single, final strike. Lucario condenses aura into a plasma state, preparing for a massive thermal discharge. Gallard focuses energy into muscle fibers, maximizing the punch's kinetic density. Sources creates a zone of intense electromagnetic interference. The final impact of Aura Sphere extinguishes all hope, ending the battle with absolute force. In the world of warriors, defeat carries its own dignity and glory.
This is the ancient river gorge, where the big jaw Pokemon is born, attuned to intense hydrodynamic flux. Totodile carries innate crushing force, dangerous due to its lack of strength perception. The jaw muscles are structured like a miniature hydraulic crusher, governed by the primitive cortex. As the jaw muscles developed, the Totodile evolved to Croconaw. The adolescent stage brings greater brute force. Environmental events can lead to devastating disasters. Fallen trees and debris pose a biological threat. Guardian instinct supersedes playful reflex. The test of this Pokemon's willpower is that its biting force is hampered by its rescue instincts. Croconaw is stuck. Sheer force is withheld. Croconaw witnesses crushing fate. Absolute focus emerges. Controlling will forces it to consciously deploy sheer force. The crushing bite succeeds. The log disintegrates beneath the pulverizing jaws. Physical load peaks. Muscular biology is forced into restructuring. Ferrolegio uses its big jaw as a tool for environmental control. Transmutation complete, from unconscious threat to conscious guardian. Destructive power is the symbol of authority and maturity.
Such a beast.
Feraligatr retreats to deep water, ready to control the next hydroflux. the Guardian has claimed biological control over the territory.
In the heart of Kanto, an endless cycle of energy consumption begins. A small organism with a metabolic demand 10 times its body size. Thick fur isn't just for warmth, it's a mobile biological reservoir. It eats to survive and prepares for a massive transformation. In nature, vulnerability always attracts the most ruthless predators. The protective instinct is the spark that triggers latent evolution. This bond generates a powerful frequency of biological energy. Cellular structures expand rapidly. A new giant is born. Snorlax, the embodiment of stillness and the immense weight of nature. Now, its heartbeat synchronizes with the pulse of the land. It is no longer an individual. It has become an ecosystem. Its gastric juices dissolve any toxin, turning waste into pure energy. But peace is always fragile before the wrath of nature. The aggressive wildfire is devouring everything in its path. Deep sleep becomes a deadly barrier in this desperate situation. A specific sound is the only key to waking the mountain. When the giant awakens, the very ground beneath it trembles. The massive frame becomes the world's most monstrous. The thick fat ability turns its skin into a shield against hellfire. It doesn't fight fire with water, but with pressure and weight. Every roll is a sacrifice to protect what remains of the green. Heroes need no words. They only need to stand against the storm. Nature finally soothes the pain of its silent protectors. Mission complete. Energy must now be restored through deep slumber. Laziness is in fact a long accumulation for decisive moments. A new generation continues, carrying the instinct of kindness.
Damn. Nice.
Peace always has a...
Sounds good, man. I need to get something for dinner here pretty soon. Might go to Jack in the Box.
price, and Snorlax is the one who pays. Even the laziest of gods carry a noble mission.
This is the Asado Desert, a harsh biome, where lost state is the primary evolutionary driver.
Mother Marowak provides biological shielding in a hostile environment. Crocodile represents the unavoidable survival pressure of the Asado biome. Mother Marowak has reached the physical threshold of territorial defense. This mortality event is Cubone's first evolutionary trauma, activating its neurolacrimal gland. The skull absorbs the chemical signature of grief. Burrowing behavior is a neural response to social isolation. The contrast between maternal bonding and loss creates psychological conflict. Isolation.
One of the ways that we strengthen connections here is by sharing food and meals together.
One dose of this is the closest thing to the fountain of youth anybody's ever gonna get.
Everyone wants beauty.
Isolation is a defense strategy, but also an evolutionary barrier. Crocodile returns. Carbon witnesses a recurring traumatic sequence. Helplessness creates a secondary emotional shock, fracturing the neural barrier. Cubone chooses social interaction over isolation. The impact fractures the final psychological casing. Maternal state triggers forced evolution via heritage energy. The skull assimilates into Cubone's skeletal system, Physical transmutation is complete. Marowak emerges. Robust genetic coding is re-established. It deploys bone rank catalysts with superior kinetic force. First, social interaction. Recognition of territorial defense capacity. Marowak establishes an extra-clan survival alliance. It returns to the trauma epicenter for the release ritual. Marowak is now the sole heir of the Asado Desert.
In the unforgiving depths of the ocean, beauty is often luxury, but survival is a relentless chore.
Oh shit.
Meet Phoebus, widely regarded as the most unsightly creature in the marine world, a species forgotten by evolution. Driven by an invisible longing for connection, this solitary being begins its journey toward the brilliant light. But in the kingdom of the elite, there is no place for one with such a wretched and weak appearance. Rejection turns it into a target for the cruel games of predators who see its presence as a blemish. A pod of Palafin hunts not for hunger, but uses the suffering of the weak to display their own dominance.
This is so crazy, bro.
Behind those dull eyes lies a resilient soul enduring the humiliation of the self-righteous. To them, Phoebus is nothing more than a lifeless toy, a pathetic entity with a bitter taste that saves it from being eaten. However, fate always knows how to test the compassion within creatures turned away by the world. A Milotic, the pinnacle of aquatic grace, is ensnared. Her light is fading against the suffocating grip of human debris. Opportunistic scavengers approach, their mindless curiosity only deepening the legendary creature's agony. For the first time, one who only knew how to flee chooses to fight back to protect a life more precious than its own. Pain has been its long-time companion, and Phoebus has learned to stand when the world wants it to fall. With all its accumulated heat, it scorches the artificial barrier, determined to break the chains binding freedom. In a final burst, the strength of its despair shakes the very boundaries of life and death. The price of salvation is total exhaustion. The unsightly fish sinks into darkness after completing a noble mission. In response to the purest heart, the Ocean Guardian bestows the scale carrying the power of light and time. A divine biological reaction is triggered, shattering the crude shell to release the beauty that was always destined. Ordinary scales shed, giving way to shimmering silk veils, symbols of nobility and ultimate power. Those who once mocked it can now only bow before the presence of a newly reborn legend. True beauty was never absent. It was merely waiting for a heart brave enough to reveal it. In the deep blue, the most humble beginning has led to the most magnificent end.
This is tripping me out, kid.
There's a place where you can find your path.
At the heart of the bramble forest, survival is measured by
Inject this shit into my veins.
the territory. These precise cuts are warning markers, crafted with surgical skill. This Scyther school is engaged in a brutal training ritual, honing their predatory instincts to a razor's edge.
Fuck yeah.
An invader emerges. Electabuzz, a creature of lightning, is challenging the territorial boundaries.
Who wants to play?
With iron discipline, the Alpha commands the subordinates to retreat, preparing for a direct confrontation. the battle erupts with an overwhelming energy strike aimed at paralyzing the opponent's nervous system. The slashes cause no meaningful damage to the thick hide. Electabuzz's brute force is beginning to dominate. Scyther relies on speed, but Electabuzz is building a charge capable of distorting molecular structures. Scyther Alpha realizes this is no longer a territorial fight, but a battle for the survival of the next generation. The metal scythes absorb the electric shock. The sheer physical impact almost tears the joints apart. The immense electromagnetic pressure and heat deform the metal structure, leading to the destruction of the combat organs. In the moment between life and death, a rare biological reaction is triggered by electromagnetic energy. Witness Skazor. This new exoskeleton is no longer organic. It is a dense, impenetrable steel alloy. The speed of Scyther remains, but now every movement carries the weight of a war machine. It takes only a single bullet punch to end the conflict. The hunter has become the absolute sovereign. Scyther's composure remains. The battle ends not in rage, but in the re-establishment of order.
Order.
The smaller insect Pokemon are safe. The evolution of the leader guarantees the survival of the entire community. Even in steel form, the insectoid instinct to sharpen its weapons remains unchanged. The social order of the swarm has been reset. A new era of steel has begun in this forest. It no longer relies on speed illusions. Now, its physical power is the ultimate defense against the strongest foes. The legacy of the scythe is transformed. From a speed ninja, the leader is now an indomitable steel warrior. With its new armor, Sigzor no longer fears the currents or the strikes of stronger foes. Sigzor is proof that evolution is driven by sacrifice and the instinct to protect.
Deep within the 1,000-year-old primordial forests, there exist creatures carrying the purest energy of happiness and compassion. Togepi is born with a translucent soul, completely foreign to the harsh laws of survival that dominate this danger-filled natural world. But the forest's silence is soon shattered as apex predators begin a brutal war to assert their absolute territorial dominance. Scyther and Pinsir, two gladiators forged from killer instinct and muscular power, accepting no compromise in this confrontation. Each of their collisions carries destructive force, jarring from the parched earth up to the highest canopies of the ancient woods. Standing before senseless destruction, this tiny creature feels the pain of the ecosystem being torn apart by endless fits of rage. Sharp air currents slice through space, threatening to take the fragile life that harbors no combat instinct or hatred within. By transforming fear into compassion, Togepi activates a protective barrier woven from the purest vibrations of happiness. Non-violent resistance through kindness causes even the most violent and bloodthirsty to pause in utter astonishment. Each crack on the
A lot of these are just showing
fragile shell is a testament to the
because I already saw that part.
More. This one's M more.
The ocean covers 70% of the Earth, but would you dare to swim? The ocean covers 70% of the Earth, but would you dare to swim if these creatures were real? How hard are Gyarados' scales, and what does Lugia's gaze look like in the abyss? Take a deep breath. Let's explore 159 water-type Pokemon. Squirtle, Its rounded shell minimizes water resistance, allowing it to swim at high speeds. Wartortle. Its furry ears and tail are symbols of longevity, helping it maintain balance while swimming. Blastoise. The water cannons on its back fire jets strong enough to punch through thick steel. Psyduck. It suffers from chronic headaches. When the pain peaks, it unleashes mysterious psychic power. Golduck. A pro swimmer. The gem on its forehead glows when it uses telekinetic powers. Poliwag. Its belly skin is so thin and translucent that you can see its spiral intestines inside. Poliwhirl. Its skin is always moist. It puts foes to sleep by spinning the spiral on its belly. Poliwrath. Its solid muscles allow it to swim across the ocean without resting for a single second. Tentacool. Composed of 99% water, it drifts aimlessly in the sea, stinging anyone who touches it. Tentacruel. With 80 poisonous tentacles, it forms a massive net to trap entire schools of fish. Slowpoke. Incredibly slow and dopey. It feels no pain, even if its tail is bitten off. Slowbro. The shell biting its tail releases toxins that occasionally make this Pokemon suddenly smart. Seal. Living in freezing waters, its horn is hard enough to punch through thick ice. Dugong. Its streamlined body reduces aging. It sleeps peacefully while floating on freezing seas. Shelder. Its shell is harder than diamond. It dangles its tongue as bait, but clamps shut instantly. Cloyster. No bomb can shatter its spiked shell. Inside lies a mysterious, unknown black pearl. Crabby. Its pincers break easily in battle, but they will grow back larger during the next molt. Kingler. Its massive claw is so heavy, it struggles to walk, but its crushing power is immense. Horsey. It spits ink for defense and wraps its tail around coral to avoid washing away. Seadra. Its dorsal fins are sharp as razors. The poison in its spines causes instant paralysis. Goldeen. The Water Queen. Don't be fooled by its beauty. Its horn attacks are incredibly aggressive. Sea King. During breeding season, they gather and dye the entire river red to fight for mates. Staryu. A starfish with infinite regeneration. As long as the red core remains, it regrows limbs. Starmie. Its core sends radio signals into space. People believe it is an alien life form. Magikarp. The weakest Pokemon. It only knows how to splash, often becomes food for others. Gyarados. The evolution of rage. It can destroy an entire city in a single stormy night. Lapras. A gentle and smart dinosaur. It understands human speech and loves ferrying people across the sea. Vaporeon. Its cell structure resembles water molecules, allowing it to completely melt into its surroundings. Ammonite. A revived prehistoric fossil. It swims by regulating the air stored inside its shell.